I had forgotten about Rohwer until one of my students during my lecture at NWAC asked, "Didn't we have one of those camps here?" So I decided, with business taking me close by, I would go visit the monument, perhaps get some photos that would be a great addition for my class. My childhood memory was of a big tank monument, and the photo of piqued my excitement. Jeffrey Burton's photo on Wikipedia from July 4, 2009 didn't seem odd. It really didn't prepare me for what I found. At the start of the Second World War, the sleepy southeast corner of the Arkansas Delta was selected as a place to relocate almost 16,000 persons of Japanese ancestry as a part of Franklin Roosevelt's internment policy. One of the two locations was Rohwer, just northwest of McGee. Almost 9,000 internees were residents, and the camp was the last to close in the program, November 1945, in part due to the difficulty of returning the former West Coast residents to their original lives. The Dictionary of Arkansas History carries an interesting passage. Following their removal, the buildings left behind were used by local schools and farmers for a variety of purposes before falling into ruin. I looked up the location online to make sure I was heading for the right place. As a part of the National Register in 1974 and made a national landmark in 1992, the first ominous detail I learned was on the directions. "At the end of a graded road," said one of the websites. Really? It's a national landmark. I had visited with my mother and grandmother the small cemetery and monument built by the residents during my childhood. My mother's family had grown to know the relocated and had a great sympathy for them. Many of the residents volunteered, fighting in Europe with the tenacity of immigrants out to prove their mettle to their adopted country. One young child at Rohwer grew up to be an American icon, George Takei, none other than Mr. Sulu. The newer monuments placed when the area was designated in 1992 are in decent shape, but the grounds are a horrible reminder that we have forgotten both this place and the people who left behind this poignant cemetery. It was an admittedly bleak day when I visited Rohwer. You get a sense for the footprint of the entire monument area with the two new monuments in front. When you walk in from the rear, you get a sense of the disrepair that it's fallen into. Limbs from trees that haven't been cleared beginning to rot on the ground. Frost heaving the pathways that walk between the graves of those that were buried there. And then in the center, the two key monuments. The one to the war veterans, with the names of those that had fallen from the 100th Regiment of the 442nd, barely legible on the back, the cracks in the front, and this bush that appeared in video to be a small little green spot in the photo from 2009, now a full-grown tree. The monument to the internees next to the war memorial, in probably more disrepair than the original. Cracks and broken pieces all around its base, and several shattered pieces of the concrete as well. It's hard to get a sense of just how bad the disrepair is until you've walked the space and compared it to the new monument. Here's a close look at that small bush, now full-grown tree coming out from the base of the 442nd Memorial. Cracking and heaving at the concrete base as it grows out from underneath the tire treads of the concrete tank structure. As you look up at the words inscribed, you can see they begin to fade along with Old Glory etched in the front in concrete. Years of disrepair starting to show in the top of the monument as cracks appear in the concrete. The memorial on the backside, dedicated to the men who gave their lives on foreign soil for America, and their names progressively become more and more difficult to read as we look down the backside of the memorial. Again, another view of the debris that has just been allowed to collect. The obelisk has some interesting inscriptions upon it. The dates of the camp and the dates of those that passed away in the camp. Again, time beginning to rob us of this data as it is progressively harder and harder to read. The eagle at the top, on top of a globe that's now cracked and fractured. As we pan down and see some of the graffiti and the names of the project directors, their work falling into somewhat of disrepair. You can see the cracks and the shatters there. Along the front side, an inscription, a close-up of some of the broken sconces around the perimeter. This is perhaps the most disturbing part. To the people of Arkansas, keep this space in beauty, or this ground where our bodies sleep. A plea from those that essentially lived here and erected this memorial. Not exactly kept in beauty as we take a look down at the graffiti that has been scratched into the base, the broken off decoratives that once lined the edge of the obelisk's base. There's one remaining and one broken off. You saw earlier the round spots where they used to be located. At the back of the area are the graves of those that were buried, those that were referenced on the obelisk. Closer details of the destruction that time and ice has ravaged on the tank structure. You can see one side cracked off and the heaving along the back side as it begins to fracture. Along the four corners of the main obelisk, both the base of this sconce and its top area broken and lying asunder. The detail work of the tank treads cast so carefully in concrete now beginning to crack and fall away. A good look at how the concrete work and the etching is beginning to fade along the top side of the obelisk. Old Glory not exactly showing its best here on the War Memorial. At the base of the obelisk, erected by the inhabitants of the Rohwer Relocation Center in October of 1944, here at the end of 2010, the shape of the facility is just not there. Courage at the top of the new modern monument added in 1992. But this quote remains the one that's a bit haunting when you see the shape the whole facility is in. Erected by the inhabitants of the Rohwer Relocation Center to the people of Arkansas, keep in beauty and reverence forever this ground where our bodies sleep. I'm no expert in restoration, but I know disrepair when I see it. As a student of history, I know we let our monuments fall away. We sometimes have our memories fade as well. The residents of Rohwer deserve a better fate than their monument. We may not wish to recall this chapter of our history, but those who are buried there and those who left us that poignant plea to the people of Arkansas and to the people of the United States to keep this ground in good repair, they deserve a better memory. And certainly those veterans who gave the ultimate sacrifice and in whose name a large part of this monument was created, their memories deserve a better fate than that of this monument at Rohwer.